You may be eating cancer's favorite fuel every single day and not even know it. These aren't exotic ingredients or rare toxins. They are found in your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, on grocery shelves and in restaurant menus around the world. But science now confirms certain everyday foods don't just harm your health, they help cancer grow. This isn't fear-mongering. It's biochemistry. From blood sugar spikes to chronic inflammation and damaged DNA, the foods we consume influence cancer risk at the cellular level. And while we often blame genetics or environment, what's on your plate may be doing more damage than you think. What's more alarming? Many of these cancer-feeding foods are marketed as safe or even healthy, but hidden beneath the labels are chemical reactions and hormonal responses that quietly accelerate tumor growth. Once you understand the science, you'll never look at your diet the same way again. In this video, we'll uncover which foods feed cancer, how they trigger biological pathways, and, most importantly, what you can eat instead to fight back. Your health decisions begin with knowledge. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest insights on nutrition and disease prevention. Cancer cells do not behave like healthy cells. While most cells rely on oxygen for energy, cancer cells often shift to a process called glycolysis, even when oxygen is available. This phenomenon, known as the Warburg effect, allows tumors to grow rapidly by feeding on glucose. Simply put, sugar is not just fuel, it's a facilitator of cancer progression. This metabolic shortcut is further amplified by hormonal signals. Elevated insulin and insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, levels create an environment rich in growth signals. The mTOR pathway, another key regulator of cell growth, becomes hyperactive in such conditions. Together, these pathways provide cancer cells with both the nutrients and signals needed to multiply unchecked. It's not just about sugar intake, but how diet influences these internal systems. Frequent blood sugar spikes, caused by high glycemic foods, trigger repeated insulin surges. Over time, this persistent stimulation promotes DNA damage, suppresses natural cell death mechanisms, and supports tumor survival. The body's internal balance tips toward disease instead of defense. Understanding this biology is critical. Every food choice has the potential to either fuel or fight cancer at the cellular level. While genetics play a role, the daily impact of our diet, particularly its effect on glucose metabolism and signaling pathways, cannot be ignored. It's here that prevention truly begins. Not all carbohydrates are created equal. Refined sugars and high glycemic foods cause rapid spikes in blood glucose, triggering insulin release. This repeated insulin surge feeds into the same pathways, like IGF-1 and mTOR, that promote cancer cell proliferation. It creates a metabolic environment where abnormal cells thrive, outpacing the body's natural defenses. Soda, candy, pastries, and white bread are prime examples. These items digest quickly, flooding the bloodstream with sugar and requiring the pancreas to respond with large doses of insulin. Over time, this dietary pattern can lead to insulin resistance, systemic inflammation, and metabolic dysfunction, all of which create ideal conditions for tumor growth. Inflammation is a key player here. Refined carbohydrates increase levels of inflammatory markers such as CRP and Illinois-6, both of which are linked to cancer progression. The combination of glucose availability and chronic inflammation acts as a double threat, energizing tumors while also disabling the immune system's ability to fight back. Reducing sugar and refined carbs isn't just about weight management or diabetes prevention. It's a foundational step in minimizing cancer risk. Choosing whole grains, legumes, and fiber-rich foods supports stable blood sugar levels, strengthens immune function, and helps starve potential cancer cells of their preferred fuel source. Processed meats like bacon, ham, sausages, and deli slices may be staples in many diets, but they carry a hidden threat. These products often contain nitrates and nitrites, preservatives that, under certain conditions, convert into nitrosamines. These compounds are well-documented dietary carcinogens that have been linked to multiple forms of cancer. When nitrites encounter amino acids in the acidic environment of the stomach, nitrosamines are formed. These substances can damage DNA, impair cellular repair mechanisms, and trigger mutations that initiate tumor development. The risk is especially pronounced for colorectal, pancreatic, and gastric cancers, where direct exposure to these chemicals is greatest. Regular consumption of processed meats has been classified as a Group 1 carcinogen by the World Health Organization. That puts it in the same category as tobacco and asbestos, not because it's equally dangerous in small doses, but because the evidence linking it to cancer is robust and consistent. Even moderate intake, over time, increases long-term risk. Choosing unprocessed protein sources, like poultry, fish, or legumes, can significantly reduce exposure to dietary nitrosamines. Reading labels, limiting processed meat intake, and diversifying protein sources are practical steps. In cancer prevention, these small changes can yield lasting protection. Saturated fats, particularly from red meats, have been shown to influence cancer risk through multiple biological pathways. These fats can elevate systemic inflammation, stimulate certain hormones like estrogen and testosterone, and alter bile acid metabolism, all of which contribute to an environment conducive to tumor development. Red meats such as beef, lamb, and pork, especially when cooked at high temperatures, can produce compounds that further increase cancer risk. Studies have found associations between high intake of red meat and cancers of the breast, prostate, and colon. These links are not only due to the fat content, but also to cooking methods and accompanying preservatives. Excess saturated fat can also disrupt hormone regulation. For example, elevated estrogen levels in postmenopausal women are linked to breast cancer, while testosterone elevation in men can affect prostate health. A high-fat diet may further contribute to insulin resistance, compounding the effects discussed in previous sections. Opting for lean protein sources, plant-based alternatives, and healthier fats, like those from fish, nuts, and seeds, can lower systemic inflammation and support metabolic balance. While occasional red meat may not pose immediate harm, habitual consumption significantly raises long-term risk, particularly when paired with other cancer-fueling dietary habits. Deep-fried foods may satisfy the palate, but they come with hidden chemical risks. High-temperature frying generates harmful compounds such as acrylamide, advanced glycation end products, ages, and lipid peroxides. These substances not only promote oxidative stress but can also damage DNA, setting the stage for cancer initiation. Acrylamide, commonly found in fried potatoes and baked goods, forms when starchy foods are cooked at high heat. Animal studies have shown its carcinogenic potential, and while human data is still evolving, long-term exposure is increasingly viewed as a cancer risk factor. Its presence in everyday snacks raises concern about cumulative effects. Ages, formed through the Maillard reaction in browning and frying, contribute to inflammation and cellular dysfunction. These compounds bind to cell receptors and trigger oxidative pathways, further damaging proteins, lipids, and DNA. Over time, this oxidative environment weakens immune surveillance and encourages tumor growth. Lipid peroxides, created when oils break down under heat, are another threat. These unstable molecules interact with DNA and proteins in ways that disrupt normal cell function. Reducing intake of deep-fried foods and using healthier cooking methods like baking or steaming can greatly decrease exposure to these harmful compounds and support cancer prevention. The modern Western diet, high in fats, sugars, and low in fiber, does more than harm metabolism. It disrupts the gut microbiome, a critical ecosystem that influences immunity, inflammation, and even cancer risk. When this microbial balance is disturbed, it creates a condition known as dysbiosis, which can promote tumor development. Low-fiber diets deprive beneficial gut bacteria of their primary fuel, fermentable fibers. As these populations decline, harmful microbes can flourish, producing compounds that irritate the gut lining and trigger inflammation. This imbalance weakens the gut barrier, allowing toxins and bacteria to enter the bloodstream, a phenomenon linked to systemic inflammation and immune dysfunction. Fat-rich diets further worsen dysbiosis by encouraging the growth of bile-resistant bacteria. These microbes can convert bile acids into secondary forms that are carcinogenic, especially in the colon. The result is a microenvironment that supports the initiation and progression of gastrointestinal cancers. Improving microbiome health through dietary choices, such as increasing intake of prebiotics, probiotics, and high-fiber vegetables, can restore microbial diversity. A balanced gut supports anti-inflammatory pathways and helps regulate immune surveillance, making it a foundational aspect of any cancer prevention strategy. Chronic inflammation is a silent driver of cancer. Unlike acute inflammation, which helps heal injuries, chronic inflammation can persist for years, feeding tumor development and suppressing the body's ability to fight abnormal cells. Poor dietary choices are one of the most consistent sources of this long-term internal stress. Inflammatory foods, rich in sugars, saturated fats, and processed ingredients, activate key pathways like NFB, a molecular switch that triggers the production of inflammatory molecules. When this pathway remains active, it promotes the release of cytokines such as interleukin-6, Illinois-6, tumor necrosis factor alpha, TNF, and C-reactive protein, CRP, all of which are strongly associated with cancer risk. This inflammatory state encourages angiogenesis, new blood vessel formation, inhibits apoptosis, cell death, and promotes cell proliferation, 3 core processes involved in tumor growth. Over time, it also damages DNA and impairs immune cell function, allowing mutated cells to survive and expand unchecked. Diet has the power to modulate this process. Anti-inflammatory eating patterns, rich in vegetables, omega-3 fatty acids, and whole foods, can suppress NFB activity and reduce cytokine production. Shifting away from inflammation-promoting foods is a critical step in lowering the risk of cancer development and progression. While certain foods promote cancer, others actively protect against it. Cruciferous vegetables, like broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, contain sulforaphane, a compound that supports detoxification enzymes and neutralizes carcinogens. These vegetables have shown potential in reducing the risk of breast, prostate, and colon cancers. Berries offer another layer of protection. Rich in anthocyanins and other polyphenols, they help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation while supporting DNA repair. Regular consumption of blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries has been associated with slower tumor progression in preclinical studies and improved cellular defense in human trials. Green tea, known for its EGCG content, delivers anti-inflammatory and antiproliferative effects. It interferes with signaling pathways involved in cancer cell growth and may even help induce apoptosis. Omega-3 fatty acids from sources like flaxseed and salmon also reduce inflammation and modulate immune function, creating a less hospitable environment for tumors. In addition, dietary practices like intermittent fasting have shown promise in supporting metabolic health and reducing insulin levels, factors linked to lower cancer risk. Together, these foods and habits form the basis of an anti-cancer lifestyle. Prevention begins not with fear, but with informed choices made every day. Join our channel's membership program to access exclusive content, behind-the-scenes research breakdowns, and practical tools for building a cancer-resistant lifestyle. Every meal is a decision. You can choose to feed disease or fight it. The science is clear. Your daily diet has a direct impact on cancer risk. It's not about fear, it's about control. And now, you know exactly where that control begins, in your kitchen. You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. Start with small, intentional changes. Swap refined sugars for fiber, processed meats for legumes, fried snacks for whole vegetables. These aren't just health tips, they are acts of prevention that compound over time. If this video gave you new insight into your eating habits, drop a comment below and let us know what food surprised you the most. Like, share, and subscribe, because the more we understand, the stronger we become. And this information could save someone's life. This isn't fear-mongering. It's biochemistry. From blood sugar spikes to chronic inflammation and damaged DNA, the foods we consume influence cancer risk at the cellular level. And while we often blame genetics or environment, what's on your plate may be doing more damage than you think. What's more alarming? Many of these cancer-feeding foods are marketed as safe or even healthy. But hidden beneath the labels are chemical reactions and hormonal responses that quietly accelerate tumor growth. Once you understand the science, you'll never look at your diet the same way again. In this video, we'll uncover which foods feed cancer, how they trigger biological pathways, and, most importantly, what you can eat instead to fight back. Your health decisions begin with knowledge. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest insights on nutrition and disease prevention.